and girls, witches and warlocks, creeps and cucks, to the lowbrow nation.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lowbrow Nation podcast, the only podcast on the internet that's worth a fuck.
Hell yeah.
I'm your co-host, Jacob Porter. Joining me, as always, is the ever-immaculate Jamie Massengill.
Hello.
The impregnable Puckett.
Impregnable.
And the
I'm impregnable?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, technically.
Is that a word?
Yeah. It means you can't get pregnant.
Means no one can penetrate you.
Or that's impenetrable.
Well, I think it's the same thing.
I like the.
I think those words are
better.
interchangeable.
Is it? All right.
Let's not forget about the smooth, sultry Cajun Prince, Dustin Lonyo.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, guys?
You got such a great voice.
Oh, I appreciate that, and I hope the world does too.
Everybody loves your voice.
So this week's episode of the Lowbrow Nation, we are going to be discussing the mysterious world of voodoo.
Oh, yeah.
Voodoo.
Ooh.
So Dustin, you are very in tune with the Cajun New Orleans culture. Did voodoo originate in New Orleans, or is it predominantly like a New Orleans thing in America? How did that happen?
Well, I mean, certainly in America, when you think any type of dark, mysterious, mystical kind of things, you think Louisiana.
Definitely.
But mostly, I mean, it didn't come, it didn't start here. But of course, with everything that happened back in them times, with the darker heads coming over and whatnot, all that ancestral stuff came over with them. And sooner or later, they started outpopulating
They were French Haitian slaves that got kind of dropped off in New Orleans, basically.
Yeah, along with, a mixture of everyone else. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
So voodoo started in Haiti?
I mean, it started multiple places. I mean, when you think of the slaves and stuff like that really kind of appropriated the culture. Most of them did come from, Pacific Islands and things like that.
Were they trying to like cast spells on their masters?
Yeah, I'm sure that was a big thing. Before Christianity started getting, kind of bleeded with it a little bit. But
Okay, so voodoo wasn't originally wasn't originally associated with Christianity?
No, not when you're thinking Christianity and kind of voodoo mixture, you're thinking more like hoodoo, American hoodoo.
Hoodoo. So
Yeah.
that's hoodoo. Okay, so voodoo originated in Africa?
Yeah, Africa, West Africa.
Okay. And then it was brought to like Haiti and stuff like that. And then from Haiti, it came whenever the slave trade was going on. It came to America.
Yeah, they brought their culture with them, of course.
Yeah, and from what I've from what I read and looked over this week, a lot of the hoodoo stuff, I mean, they can cross over to many different religions. They can take pieces from each. Wicca, Christianity, Judaism, a whole lot. They just mix and match a lot of stuff.
So hoodoo is voodoo mixed with something else.
Yeah, hoodoo is a mixture of kind of your tribalistic kind of mysticisms mixed with Christianity kind of.
Christianity?
Using Christianity as kind of like the driving force.
Okay.
Yeah, the way I took it was voodoo was more of a religion,
Yeah.
and hoodoo was more of a practice.
Yeah.
Also, I read that when the slaves were brought over and down in Louisiana and stuff, the slave owners and stuff, the plantation owners, they had a certain amount of time they had to transition their slaves from whatever religion they were to Christianity.
Sounds about
So I think it was like 8 days. It was like a weird number. And so to appease them, the slaves would kind of mix the two together, but still do voodoo or have voodoo as a base and then mix in the Christianity stuff to kind of appease everyone. That's basically the voodoo that we know now here in America.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, Christianity is a big turn from voodoo and voodoo. You know what I mean? It's a whole different field.
You said voodoo?
Yeah,
Is that
it's just a different
different
way. Yeah,
way to say voodoo?
Yeah,
So whenever most people think about voodoo, they think about just the dark side of it, the casting spells and the
voodoo
dolls.
and
Is it all dark?
No.
Not necessarily. I mean, that mostly comes from the
Movies.
commercialization
Yeah.
of voodoo
Sure.
and stuff like that. I mean, with voodoo, because I mean, there's tier systems in voodoo, just like with everything else. When you talk about deities and things that you worship and whatnot.
So voodoo is polytheistic.
Yes, definitely polytheistic. Like in voodoo, like how we as Christians or Islamic or Jewish faith, we represent, worship a one God.
The Abrahamic religions.
Yeah. They have a one God, one true ultimate deity, but it's not really a God. It's a being beyond anything, and you'll never obtain or even be able to communicate or get on any level to where you can even worship that kind
I
of
think
deity.
I can get down with that. Because it seems like a lot of the people who follow like the Abrahamic religions, Christians, Muslims, Jews, stuff like that, seem to like be pretty confident that they know the word of God. You know what I mean? I like the humbleness in the voodoo of like just admitting that we don't know. You know what I mean? I kind of dig that.
Yeah.
I was
So that's
watching
kinda
this
cool.
thing. Vice did it. I was watching on YouTube, and it was this. They went and visited this high priestess in New York in the Haitian community. Apparently, there's a pretty big voodoo presence in New York too, because of the Haitians and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were at this, I guess, gathering, and she was explaining everything to him and how everything was going down. And basically, when you're at these things, you almost want to get possessed by something so you can.
That's the whole thing.
So you can understand, so they can kind of get their word out to people. Like she said straight up, she's like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, but if this certain one possesses her, she'll go straight to she'll go get a bottle of rum
Sounds
and
convenient.
start smoking cigarettes.
That's how I work.
So, I mean, it was.
If you ever watch anything on like a voodoo ritual or anything being done, it's a crazy sight. Especially when you talk about back in the motherlands, where it came from. It's
and they wear that big suit that looks like a haystack.
Yeah, sure.
They do. It's crazy. It looks like a haystack. But they that same video apparently the guy's like, you can call it whatever you want to, but I guess they burn money. Like that's part of like the giving. They would give them that. They would burn. Yeah,
Bucket's face.
they literally would burn. They burn the money, and the numbers that weren't burnt off of the money. A lady took those numbers, went and played the lottery that night, and she won $500.
But how much money did they burn? That's like I just won $1,000 on the lottery, but I've spent $2,000 on tickets.
Well, I mean,
At least the Christians take your money and spend it on new jeans and TVs for the church. I mean, come on.
God said we needed this chandelier.
Just burn it. Where do you register to be a deity?
What deity?
I'll do it.
It'd be a fucking.
I want the
deity.
money, though. Don't burn that shit. We'll burn some Monopoly money.
Yeah, but all it depends on what kind of Lao or deity they're trying to communicate with. Like,
So I want to backtrack a little bit. So is that like the big thing? So how big a part of voodoo is being possessed? Is that like the main?
I mean, communication with the deities is a big thing. It's just like praying and stuff like that. We don't expect God or Jesus to talk back to us, but with them, they expect the spirits to communicate through them, to
Now-
tell them their needs and things
It's a
like
lot
that.
of LSD.
In order to communicate with the deities, do they have like a seance?
Yeah,
Is
definitely.
it like the seance you would think of where they sit around in a circle and hold hands and light some
not
light some
necessarily like
candles
that. It's more high energy, more like you really gotta
like campfire,
It's like it looks like
naked dancing.
it looks like a family reunion,
Burning meth.
and they burn money.
Yeah, and then I mean, once the spirits actually get in there, then it's a different tone. Then because someone's gonna get possessed, so on speak, and it's gonna move on from there. And they try to figure out who's actually with them. Like Legba, a very popular, name in voodoo. Like, so he's a communicator kind of deity. He's the first one you're going to call on because he talks to the rest of them. He opens the door, so to
Okay.
say. So you bring Legba into your seance, and then you try to communicate through Legba to get to the deities you're trying to get to.
so
So
Legba is like a vessel for the vessel.
Yeah, essentially.
Also-
Like, so he's the
also-
crossroads Lao.
I also read that the voodoo dolls and stuff are pretty much just BS,
Yeah.
They're
Like I said,
nothing.
most your
and that's just TV crap.
Yeah, most of the stuff from like commercialization is really a blend of hoodoo practices. Really, like I said, because hoodoo was more about more of like a witch doctor kind of thing. You know what I mean? More like healing herbs and spells and things like
Okay.
that. That's where most like I said, what your commercialized sense of voodoo comes from.
so voodoo is a lot like American Indian religion.
Yeah, I kind of. So I'm not too vested, in American Indian.
They
Yeah.
just kind of sit around a campfire
Get
and
fucked up. And,
Peyote.
get real fucked up and start seeing shit in the fire.
but I mean,
Yeah, Yeah.
You keep using the term lout. Is that what you're saying?
Lao, L-O-A.
And what are Laos?
Lao are the deities, so to say. Like I said, they're not gods, but they're the higher ups, you know. And there's different families of Lao, like, you know, brothers, sisters, uncles, you know, all that stuff. It all breaks down. And different families, you know, worship different Lao.
So
you know
different earthly, like human families.
Yeah.
So if you is it separated like okay? So I was reading. I was reading this Forgotten Realms book, fantasy book about dark elves, and each house they have like a certain patron deity.
Yeah,
it's similar to that.
Yeah, very similar to that. Very similar.
Okay,
to that.
so
and like I said, you kind of judge the family or the people you're dealing with, the people who practice voodoo, by the the Lao that they kind of worship. Because usually they're gonna have a shrine set up in the house to the.
Are there rival Laos?
Yeah,
are they like like Thor and Loki?
Yeah,
is that like
it's a whole hierarchy and lore and everything blended in with the gods,
That's
cool.
cool.
And all that stuff. Yeah.
Who seems like the coolest Lao in your opinion?
I'm not too vested in all of them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are kind of dark and sadistic. Because when you get back to more of the tribalistic sense, I mean, when you talk about kind of some of the foul shit you think about with voodoo, the dark imagery, a lot of that stuff is kind of true.
Right.
Because one family or house may worship a god that requires sacrifice, or requires some dark shit to us, like fucking. Pedophilia or anything like that.
Okay.
All kinds of crazy shit. Like I said, I'm not too vested in what every deity does and requires, and but
It's convenient for the culture.
yeah. But like I said, it breaks down when you kind of think like Greek and Roman goddesses and stuff like that. Like there's some for wine and debauchery, and there's some for fertility and things like that.
Yeah, there's some benign and some malevolent ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Sounds complicated.
It does. So okay.
And they adopted a lot of their deities and stuff. Basically, they some of them use essentially the Catholic saints for them
just
also.
kind of change them around.
Yeah.
So okay, here's a question. I don't know if anyone knows this offhand. What does Christianity predate voodoo, or does voodoo predate Christianity?
I don't know that offhand, but I would say voodoo probably predates Christianity.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would
practice.
Voodoo seems a lot more ancient than Christianity, just from just aesthetically.
Yeah.
It seems more ancient, but I don't know. That's something
Yeah, I don't know.
we should have figured out.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And we didn't.
damn zombies. Is that a voodoo thing?
Zombies?
Yeah.
I don't know how they view zombies.
I feel like I heard somewhere that zombies were like a voodoo, like originated from like voodoo, from voodoo.
I know usually voodoo practitioners are very weary
Raising the dead.
of anything kind of leery like that. Like I said, that's where you hear a lot of the things about in tribalistic villages about they deserted some kid or something because he's deaf or something like that, because they think like he's he's a demon or he's been cursed.
I can get down with this.
and if
Where do
you-
I sign up?
It's probably some website.
Leave the weak ones behind.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
there was plenty of times like if you watch documentaries and stuff, there'll be what do you call them? What's the white folks go over there and start fucking with people? Missionaries.
Yeah.
Like missionaries go to missionaries go over to like they go over to like villages
AKA
and stuff,
slave traders.
and they'll be like a malnourished child just wandering around on his own and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
they can't get involved because if they go to messing with the kid, the whole village thinks the kid's cursed. You know what I mean, or something
Right.
like that. And if they go to fool with them, then they think, well, you're going to agitate, the deities, because this kid's been cursed by the gods, stuff like that. Because they still kind of follow that kind of thing, you know what I mean?
But the Christian, you talking about Christian missionaries will not help the kid because of that?
Well, I mean, they can't unless they want to, get fucking pillaged and raped by a village, you know what I mean? Because
is it that
when
serious?
you're a lone white face amongst, native people in their homeland, you got to kind of.
So they're like, let this kid starve to death.
Yeah,
Don't
I
help
mean,
them.
of course. I mean, the white folk and everybody's gonna want to, fucking help out.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point where you got to kind of draw the line.
That's
'Cause
fucking
You're far away from the house.
crazy.
The zombies were originally it's a Haitian French word zombie, but without the e, or
Maybe
Haitian
that's what I was
Creole
thinking.
zombie, and they were basically created by raising the undead, but they weren't so much like brain eating zombies we know of.
Yeah, not like the
in
George
movies.
Romero.
No,
zombie.
they were basically ghosts that inhabited a body, essentially.
They didn't have bath salts back then.
You know what I mean?
All right, Marie Laveau.
Uh,
What's the deal with her?
She's a hooker.
oh, okay. Now, she was known as one of like the big wigs in Louisiana voodoo culture.
Whoa,
The voodoo queen.
what?
She was a hairdresser too.
Was she really?
Yep.
That's why everybody thought she was all mystical and shit, because she would go in with the white folks and be doing their hair, and they would hear.
Can we call them Peckerwoods for the rest of the
That's fine,
segment?
Peckerwoods.
Yeah,
and
just
she
getting
would she would hear them talking shit and saying all this stuff, and she would go back and tell like all the other slaves. Like
So this
she
is-
would predict things in
Yeah.
quotations.
Yeah.
So she was magical.
So you're debunking Marie Laveau right now?
Debunked. It said it in the article I read.
Magicians debunked.
Of course, it's true because it's on the internet.
But she was like the queen of voodoo.
Yeah.
That's what people
Yeah.
called her. Okay, so that was during around the slave trade.
Yeah, somewhere around in
Era,
that area. I'm
somewhere
not
in
too
that
specific
time.
on dates.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you can go see her grave.
Yeah, till to this day, people still go to her grave site and make wishes. And
As of recently, they closed it
I believe that.
because of vandalism.
Yeah.
You can still see it, but you can't like
Walk
get
up
to
to
it anymore. They put like a fence around it and stuff.
Gotcha.
I wonder if they're gonna fucking eventually do that to Gigi Allen's grave.
Who's that?
Gigi Allen is that fucking
He's so weird.
he's the guy from he's that punk rock dude from like the 90s, like 80s, 90s.
He would
Yeah.
shit on stage and eat it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I think somebody
you know
was
what I'm
telling
talking
me
about? The
about
bald
that.
dude had a fucking little tiny pecker, just fucking micro penis.
I think you were telling me about that.
Yeah,
one
there's
time.
video. You can watch a video on YouTube of him playing live, and he takes a shit on stage,
Oh, wow.
and like he'll like eat his pick up his shit with his mouth and spit it on the audience.
Yeah.
He was raw, but his grave anyway. It's like his grave. They fucking people like all the time go there and like piss on his grave and shit on his grave,
Just
to like honor him.
in memoriam.
That's like their way of honoring him.
Oh, wow.
Just like go and like fucking get wasted and like puke on his grave and shit on it and piss on it.
Badass.
That's
It's
crazy.
fucking punk rock.
Yeah,
Hey, whatever.
I'm into it.
Sure.
What? So is there any like voodoo in today's time? Like any? I didn't see anything. Like I tried to look up cool stories.
Like, does it
They're
still
kinda
happen?
Silent.
Like, do people still follow it?
Yeah, I'm sure the white folks are getting into it since Trump got in office. They got to keep that shit rolling somehow.
Yeah, dude.
And yes, it's still practiced.
Yeah. Well, not practice, but you don't hear anything about it. I don't know.
Well, of course you're not going to hear about it.
There was this. I was reading this thing the other day about this rebellion in the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Called the it's like Kamwina Nsapu.
Uh-huh.
I could be pronouncing that wrong. I'm sure
the
I
white
am.
gorilla.
No, okay. So Kamwina Nsapu was that's not.
Congo.
It's called the Kamwina Nsapu Rebellion or the Kamwina Nsapu Militia.
Uh-huh.
It's basically this rebellion that follows, from what I was reading, it follows in the footsteps of the actual Kamwina Nsapu, who was like a guy, right? So it was
Yeah.
like a guy. He died. They kind of do his thing now.
They martyred him.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, it's this fucking rebellion. I don't know exactly what they do. But they, I believe, follow some sort of voodoo where, like, if they're going to do battle, they can't eat certain things. They can't eat meat. They have to abstain from sex and a bunch of other things that they have to do to make them more pure or more ready for battle.
It's sure
supposed to
victory.
protect them for battle.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So they were, I believe, they were occupying some place in the Congo, like some town, and this chick who cooked at a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
They were at her restaurant and she served them soup that had little chunks of fish in it.
Uh-huh.
And the fish, after finding out that they had fish in it, they thought it broke their spell
Yeah.
because if you eat meat, it breaks your spell.
Yeah.
So what they did is they took the lady and her son out in the street, drug them out in the street, raped the lady, made her stepson rape her,
Uh-huh.
and then beheaded both of them, and left. Then they drank the blood,
Uh-huh.
and then left them in the street for like 2 days before anyone did anything.
We're gonna treat all you women the way women ought to be treated.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I see how you wanted to make that work.
Uh,
That worked. Okay, so
that's crazy.
here's my question.
But there's
about-
there's a video of that going
Uh-huh.
around. I don't know. There's something called WhatsApp. You guys know what that is?
Yeah.
I've heard of that before.
I don't know what it is, but there's a video going around of that happening.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, it's pretty terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
to
like I said,
watch.
when you get back, to the motherlands, I mean, all kinds of crazy shit like that happens. And that's
going
one of the
down.
stigmatism with voodoo, you know what I mean? Because it's not all benevolence and fucking do unto your brother and all that kind of shit like that. It's very, I got to get mine. Because, when you think of like, more I don't want to say like uncultured, but or uncivilized, but like more more tribalistic areas of the world,
Sure.
where they're not as developed.
Yeah.
It's more about doing for yourself, you know what I mean? More
Yeah.
so than I
I
could
was
be
like, dude, that's some fucking like over some fish.
yeah.
Well, okay.
They thought
so
they were gonna lose.
this mildly ties into it. So my question, what I was wondering about voodoo, like all religions, people practice religions because they need some form of morality because common sense doesn't work. So
That's been my argument with religion for a long time.
that's right. So you just use it for right and wrong. So in voodoo, they actually, in most religions, it's all centered around yourself. But in voodoo, it's not. It's centered around your community. So you don't look at what's best for you. You look at what's best for your community. So the lines of right and wrong can be very blurred because you're supposed to protect your family.
Right and wrong's objective,
Yeah, definitely in voodoo it looks like it's very gray.
Yeah.
I was looking for like the 10 commandments of voodoo.
The Ten
Do they have
Commandments.
those?
I couldn't find
Is
it.
there like a voodoo book, like a
Like a
Bible?
grimoire or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know if there is like a written voodoo kind of word that they follow.
Nah, it sounds like they just Wikipedia that
Word
shit.
of mouth. Yeah, Wikipedia.
If they Wikipedia, they're gonna get lost.
Gonna Wikipedia voodoo.
But there's different sublets of voodoo, just like with anything else. Everywhere you go, there's a different practice.
Got to twist it to make it work for you.
Yeah, just like with everything else.
It seems like the only religion that doesn't do that is like Islam. They're kind of just like set in their ways. One
Well,
book,
there's a
one sect.
yeah. I mean,
This is the rules.
that's because it's a pretty new religion too. Like a lot of religions used to be that way. Like Judaism and Christianity was very much that way, but they've kind of gone through like a Renaissance and a Reformation that helps them out with that. But I will agree that there are like things in the Quran that kind of like this. Like the Quran is supposed to be the perfect word of God, so it's really hard to like want to try to reform that.
Yeah.
Because it claims to be the perfect word of God, so that doesn't leave any like room for reinterpretation. You know what I mean? Because the Quran, by definition, is the perfect word of God.
Well, you can't go to your Islamic super church. They don't have those. So just one church. But it looks like voodoo kind of took the track of all the other religions and kind of just split up and people pick and choose.
There is no way that I'm going to be able to pronounce this, but it's spelled HWLENGA with the little swirly thing on top, N. And
We'll call
that
it
is
meow meow.
the holy book of African VooDoo.
Oh.
So there's one. You
Okay.
can buy it online. It's 2.5 pounds and it's $90.
Is it in English?
No.
That's a lot of Google Translate.
I don't
There's
know.
a lot of
Maybe.
like don't they like do like they have a lot of like
Fangbi.
fucking like amulets and shit like certain
Pendants and things
pendants
that,
and like just items that
Like I said, it depends on who they're representing to. Because like I say, each different.
And that's more of a hoodoo thing, right?
Yeah, I mean you can think so. I mean because with hoodoo, like one of the most popular things about hoodoo is the mojo hand. The mojo hand is like it's just something like if you go to
Mojo Hand. I want to start a fucking blues band, call it the Mojo Hand.
the mojo hand, it's a pretty commonly termed thing
There's a
used
good
in blues music.
blues song with the word mojo hand in it.
I'm
I
sure
can't remember
there
what it is.
I know a few mojo hand songs, but the mojo hand is essentially just like you come to a practitioner or a witch doctor, whatever you want to call them, and you need fortune or you need some type of favor in your or some type of protection. Mojo hand is usually just some type of bag or pendant or something, usually comprised of different things of what you're looking for. So if you need if you're looking for some type of favor for better money in your future, and then he might put like some coins in there, and then
So he just gives you money.
well, not like essentially money, but he puts together like an amulet that is going to work towards protection and gear, kind of guide you and protect you and lead you towards a path that's going to be more.
And it just kind of gives you the mojo to probably make it happen yourself.
yeah,
But it just gives you the kind of like a crutch almost.
yeah,
But I'm sure it helps a lot of people.
yeah. In a spiritual, in a spiritual sense, if we think it from a realistic aspect, it's more of like, okay, I got this, so I feel like I'm protected, so subconsciously, you're gonna,
You're gonna behave
yeah,
in that way.
yeah,
So voodoo sounds to me more like a cultural thing, not necessarily like Christianity is a very active religion. People join it all the time. But like it's more like Judaism where you're like born into it. And it's kind of like that's what you are.
Yeah.
yeah.
There
Essentially,
could-
because it depends
You
on
do you.
It all depends on
Yeah.
the intermediaries, who you communicate with. You know what I mean? Who's your like I said, I said deity earlier, deity, but deity is kind of the wrong word.
So what is the afterlife of voodoo?
I don't know if they have a believe in an afterlife.
And there's practitioners of voodoo that is just passed down throughout their family. But there's some people that just work their way up the ladder and they become a voodoo king or voodoo queen. Some people are just kind of born with it. So there's a whole lot of stuff. It almost seems to me like a secret society almost, because you got to go through certain things to be involved with it too.
Yeah.
It's not just like hey, come dunk your head in this water, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I believe they do like a baptism type thing too. They've nowadays, especially in the United States, they've brought in a lot of Catholicism with the voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
They've mixed it up a lot, and they've kind of they don't base it on that, but they use a lot of the basis of it for their stuff too.
Makes sense.
I want to switch gears a little bit. With Halloween coming up, I want to get everyone's take on everyone's opinion on what the scariest movie they've ever seen is and why it impacted them that way. We're gonna start with
scary movie.
start with Puckett. I want to hear Puckett's scariest movie.
Puckett don't look like a-
Paranormal Activity.
Oh, lame.
Really?
That movie was terrifying.
It's just a jump scare fest of it.
Nah, man, I slept with the light on for a week.
I mean, it kind of started that whole fucking home video kind of trend.
just
you know
can't
what I
deal
mean?
with it.
Well, Blair Witch did.
Oh yeah, Blair Witch. I
Witch
forgot about
did
yeah.
start it, but I don't think it really
No,
built
Blair
steam
Witch wasn't
until
scary. Blair Witch Project wasn't scary.
The first one.
Paranormal Activity was fucking scary.
It was alright. It was creepy.
like
That's
it
the one with the
scared
little baby
shit
in the
out
crib,
of me.
right?
What, the
That's the-
Paranormal Activity? I
Didn't
just
they have a
remember
little baby in a crib.
I've like mentally blocked it.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember like the people like laying in their bed and like fuck that shit.
I've never seen
Did
it.
you see it in theaters?
No, me and one of our good conservative friends, Pedro the Frog, were watching it together,
Pedro.
and we had all the lights on in the house. Like, we're two grown men, and we had all the lights on in the house, and we're sitting there watching it, and then it went off. And as soon as it went off, my fucking alarm clock went off.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
So like the screen went black, and we were like sitting there, and we're both just like freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
And he had walked. We both lived in Clayton, and he had walked to my house, and we were just sitting there. And then all of a sudden, the fucking alarm clock went off. The dog started barking. I was like, "What the fuck?" And he was like, "What the fuck?" And then I was like, I went in there because I was like, "You need to go in there and turn it off." He was like, "It's your house, bro." I was like, "Fine, fuck it." And I went in there and turned it off. And then I came back out, and I was like, "So you going to the house?" Because I had like work next day. And I was like, "You going to the house?" He's like,
I'm going to crash.
I'm probably just gonna stay here. That shit. I only watched one of them. I wouldn't watch. Fuck that. Like, I'm not like a ghost are gonna come get you kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I've only ever felt like that one other time when I was a kid, and I think this is what brought it up for me. When I was a kid, my mom had this friend, and we'd go over to her house, and we lived in Missouri. Then it was a very desolate place, far more desolate than this is where we're at right now. And you go in her house, and every time I walked upstairs in her house, that's exactly how it felt. It just got like real heavy. I hated being up there. Supposedly it was like fucking haunted, so they say. I don't know how I feel about all that.
So they say.
But like the backyard looked like something from like Ring. Like it was just. I think that's what brought it up for me, and like all that came back, and I was just like, nope, fuck this movie.
Fuck.
I can deal with any other. The Ring movies are funny. What's the movie with the fucking? It's got the dude and the girl's dead on his back.
What? The Grudge?
Yeah, that movie's
The Grudge.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Like most scary movies are mildly funny to
I
me.
think it depends more on your age group, like how young you were when you saw a certain kind of scary movie.
Yeah.
After you reach a certain age, scary movies aren't really scary.
I think
Yeah.
it for me is if it's real. Like if
if
real. It could be real. Like if it could happen, like a girl being trapped in your back, not real. But like you laying in your house and somebody fucking with you, like that's real shit. Like that was like a
It felt
Canon
real.
fucking camera, and they had it in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it wasn't real, but like while I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, yeah. So that's mine. Paranormal
Dustin.
Activity. Fuck that shit.
Well, the only movie that really stuck with me that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid was the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, I'm like, this shit is fucking hilarious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But back then, like, there was a scene where like the whole family was out, and they had like the fucking granddad and grandma, and then like they cut the little girl's finger and put it in the fucking granddad's mouth, and he was like sucking on her finger all ugly and shit. That shit creeped the fuck out of me. I was like, man, fuck this shit. I was young too when I saw that.
I like that movie. I remember the first time I saw it, there was like whenever they first get into the house and he's like walking in. I think it was the dude. And he was like, maybe it was the girl. I can't remember. Someone was walking in the house, and then like the fucking like Leatherface just like slides open this door, whacks the dude over the head, and pulls him back in. There was like no music, nothing. It was just like dry silence. You know what I mean? And just like the organic noise of it happening, and it was just like so cool because it wasn't like some fucking like big old 808 or like nothing fucking. It was just like it felt real watching it. Like it just like that shit just happened. You know, there was no like creepy music leading up to it or anything. It was just fucking just slides open the door, wham, just fucking takes him back there.
Now, Pucker to talk shit about Grudge, but I thought Grudge was scary as shit when I first saw it. That fucking little fucking Asian girl. That shit was creepy, man.
My wife hates that noise.
That shit
I think
was
that shit. I don't even watch scary movies because I don't. My thing is if it's real, like it's just got like, or it's real, or
But
I can't see
Paranormal Activity. Like it has the word paranormal in title, so
or
have
I
the
can't see.
real.
But if I can't see what it is,
Okay.
like you know what I mean, like I can't see like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You can see it. I can
Okay.
see it coming. Like the whole movie is just set up. Like don't go through the door, dumbass.
It was just the premise of the movie, like these crazy
Yeah.
cannibalistic motherfuckers in Texas.
Yeah.
you
No,
know, just
I'm with you. Yeah,
That
no,
one-
it's
that one's
freaky.
Bad. That one's bad for sure. Jamie, what about you, dude?
Man, I really
You don't watch
I don't
scary
watch
movies.
a lot of scary movies. I was thinking about
So-
this today, and
Like fucking Hocus Pocus or something?
Transylvania too.
Hotel Transylvania too. I've never seen that. But I was thinking about this, and I remember watching it. It was around Halloween. It's about, I guess, about this time, and it was the 2005. It was the first year my wife and I were married, and we lived in this house that was barely a house, and the hallway was really dark and all this stuff.
When you say it was barely a house, like what do you mean?
It was like a 500 square foot 1971 single wide with a hole in the floor underneath the air conditioner.
Gotcha.
You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like it was a home. We slept well, but
Home
and
is
we
where you
watched a
live.
movie. We watched a movie and it was White Noise
With Michael Keaton.
with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, dude, I know what you're talking about.
I know what you're
White
talking about,
Noise.
but I haven't watched that.
White-
one.
Wow,
right?
that was a fucking
Right?
curveball. I was not expecting
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. So White Noise, it was a good movie.
Uh-huh.
It was very as a kind of like Signs, sort of.
Okay.
To me, it was.
Yeah.
Not Signs. What's the I See Dead People movie?
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense. It kind of had that little twist in it.
The M. Night Shyamalan.
I don't.
Was it Sixth Sense M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
if White Noise was. They made a second
No,
one.
I don't think White Noise was. but-
And I didn't ever watch it because I was over it. But in White Noise, and like at the end of it, when Lane's head was in my lap, we were watching it. We were on the couch. Nothing was
She's about to
happening.
get that white sauce.
Boom shakalaka!
But she's probably laughing at the radio right now, listening to this. But all of a sudden, it went to like that full white fuzzy thing, or something happened, and you could see something coming through it, and it just scared. It was like the dude's wife or whatever. I was playing with her hair just because of nervousness, and I just grabbed her hair and just pulled hard.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
I just pulled the shit out of her hair, and she screamed, and I screamed, and I made her follow me to the bedroom and turn all the lights off on the way
Damn.
to the bedroom.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sixth Sense was another one that was
Sixth Sense?
similar. It wasn't scary, but like somebody ruined the end of it for me, like I do for many people apparently.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
But I don't.
Why? What was like the premise of White Noise? Like
He
what
was trying to get in touch with his wife or something like
Yeah.
that. Like he thought his wife was communicating him through like fucking
Through his
white-
TV.
Yeah, some
static.
shit, shit like that.
Yeah, and then at the end of it, it was like a demon trying to get through or some shit like that. He
Beelzebub.
actually apparently ended up I don't know. It was a weird movie. I kind of want to go watch it now, but I was thinking about that. I looked over a list of scary movies because I just don't watch a lot of them. I will tell you one real fast before we go to Jacob's scary movie. The only other thing that I can think of that startled me as much as that did was the first Resident Evil video game.
Video game? Oh.
Yeah, so in that game, you're like running through the hall or something, and like these demon dogs jump through the window and they just scared the shit out of me.
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill, yeah.
was a lot more creepier than Resident Evil.
Maybe it was Silent Hill with the creepy zombie dogs.
No, that was Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. I threw the remote. It scared me, And then at the time, our neighbor had one of those dogs that looked just like that.
See, I'm kind of like you. I can watch scary movies. Scary movies, I enjoy them. I don't really care too much for scary video games.
Scary video games are the shit. Like, if you want to be scared, scary video games are the way
I
to
can't
go.
even imagine now with like VR.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to do that shit.
Dude, give people heart
you're
attacks.
talking about Resident Evil, the newest Resident Evil, where you're like in the house,
Uh-huh.
right? That shit looks fucking terrifying. Like, and that was on VR. Like, they
Yeah.
have a VR version. Of
I mean,
that game.
my
they
son is 6, man, and he loves that damn Five Nights at Freddy game.
Oh.
I think
And I
that's
just
more-
don't think
That's more like jump scary kind of
Yeah, I
like
just don't
thing.
think it's for kids, and he
No,
loves it, man.
Kids, that's where the audience is.
Yeah,
Kids
that's-
love
I-
it.
for kids.
No, it is for kids, but man, he loves it.
I know every fucking little boy I know it loves Five Nights at
It
Freddy's.
trips me out.
Minecraft and Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
Like the
Dude,
two
that's his
little
shit.
kid, yeah.
Yep.
That's his shit right there.
Like the two little kids.
What-
And that really northern Yankee dude on YouTube that cooks shit with his kids.
I think I know who you're talking about.
He makes like green pancakes and shit.
What were you getting ready to say?
What's your favorite?
What's
or
your favorite
scariest
yeah,
movie?
scariest favorite movie?
It's not my favorite movie, but the
Most scared you've ever been watching a movie.
probably the first VHS and the second one. I think it was the second one, maybe.
I don't know what those are.
VHS. Yeah, I remember that movie.
Okay,
They were creepy.
dude. So, I was at a friend of mine is a couple, and I was at their house, and I watched the first one, and there was like the last so the premise of the movie, if you haven't seen it, is like it's just these dudes breaking in this guy's house, and they find all these VHS tapes, and then they watch the VHS tapes, right? So the bulk of the movie is the different tapes. So they put in a tape, and then like the movie starts. The movie is what they're watching on the
Yeah.
on the TV, right, through the VHS tapes. The last scene was like some really weird shit where like they're in this house, and there's like some like satanic ritual going on in the attic, and there's like hands coming out of the walls. It totally had like a dream, like a nightmare. Like it felt like a fucking nightmare I've had where like hands come out of walls. Like
Yeah.
it was weird. The second one was the one that probably freaked me out the most. It was this. It's pretty popular, man. You can probably find the whole clip on YouTube. There was like this fucking cult or something in somewhere in Asia, somewhere in Asia, and it was like a suicide cult.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you guys have seen this.
I see the VHS movies, but I
Okay,
can't
so
recall.
if you haven't seen it, so basically it's like there's this like suicide cult, and then like these people, like this film crew is like going there to like do like a documentary on these people. You know what I mean? They didn't know it was a suicide cult at the time. They thought it was just like just a cult. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And they go like a film crew goes in there, and they just kind of like start documenting what all was going on. And it turns out it ends up like with like everyone committing like mass suicide, and then like some fucking like Baphomet creature like at the end of it is like fucking. I don't know, it's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah.
You guys have to see it, man. It's fucking crazy.
I think that
That scared the fuck out of me. As a child, probably The Exorcist. I mean, everyone says that, but
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist was creepy.
That
Yeah.
was a scary movie.
That fucking
As
old
a
lady.
kid,
that old
was
lady
a
that was in
scary
there. That
movie.
old lady alone
Oh.
creeped me out with her high ass fucking little kitty
God, I
voice.
hated
I
watching
just
that movie.
I clicked the lit. I went to the Googs and pulled up the Rotten Tomatoes. The best horror movies of all times, and I totally forgot about this movie. It wasn't really creepy because I watched it, but it was The Thinker, man. The Others.
oh, with Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that
Where
was
she-
a creepy one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, fuck it. It's from 2001. If you haven't seen it, then I don't care.
Yeah.
Where she was the actual
She was the
dead
dead
one the
yeah.
whole time.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a
There's-
brave.
That was
movie.
a really, I mean, I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's this like foreign film I watched a long time ago. I had it. It's called High Tension. It's kind of obscure, but so it's kind of had like a hitchhiker. You remember the movie The Hitcher or The Hitchhiker?
Yeah.
What would they call VHS now if they remade it? Before, because I don't want to
Well,
get too far away from that.
VHS is,
MP4.
MP4, yeah.
Streaming.
Streaming.
VHS
Blu-ray.
is a pretty recent movie though.
Yeah,
it's not like
not
old.
too old.
Oh,
yeah.
it's not?
It's not
How old
old,
is it?
no.
I thought it was like
No.
from the 80s.
No,
hell
no,
no,
it's from
no.
like fucking maybe not even 10 years ago.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, it's like
okay,
2000.
well, never mind. I'm
the
sorry.
first one came out in like probably 09 or
Well, I
something.
guess
I don't know, but
if you did stumble upon a crazy house, that's probably what you would find.
yeah.
Or some beta.
It wouldn't be fucking. It'd be fucking cheesy if they called it Blu-ray. You know what I mean?
They redid Poltergeist. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Christopher
I'm sorry.
Walken was in.
I'm
something
sorry,
like that.
Jacob. What were you saying? I totally interrupted you. My bad, bro.
What was I talking about? Remind
You
me.
were about to talk about some obscure forward movie.
Oh, High Tension.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like The Others, where like like in The Others, Nicole Kidman in the end turns out to be
Dead.
right?
Yeah.
She was the dead person in it. High Tension, similar to that. It's like this chick's being chased by this fucking like dude with like a fucking like table saw or like some sort of saw, like motorized saw.
She's carrying a
And she's
table
like-
with him.
and like the whole time she's like running away, like trying to get away from this dude. Turns out, and like everyone, she ends up like she ends up getting with his family, like on the road, like hitchhiking with his family. The family ends up dying. He kills the family. All this stuff. Goes to this hotel room. Everyone in the hotel ends up dying and stuff like that. While the killer's trying to get to her, he ends up killing everyone else. Turns out it's her the whole time. Spoiler alert! If anyone wants to watch High Tension.
She's the killer?
Ruin it for me.
She's the killer the whole time?
Yeah, she has like fucking schizophrenia or something. She's the one killing everyone.
I've seen a few movies like that. with
Yeah.
that kind
I've
of
seen a
premise.
whole season of a TV show that we all like.
What's
That's
that? No, don't. Yeah, no recent spoilers, I guess. But yeah.
Well, it's-
High Tension. It was a good. I think it was like Australian. It was like an Australian movie or something. It was really cool.
Have you watched any of the remade like scary movies like Carrie?
I saw that.
Yeah.
both of
Carrie,
them.
I saw Carrie.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw
the
both
new
of
one.
them.
I thought the Carrie, the new one, was good. It wasn't
It
scary,
was.
but it was good.
Yeah.
I like the
good.
chick who plays Carrie. She's a
Yeah.
good actress.
Yeah, that looked
What's
good.
her
What
fucking
was
name?
the?
I don't know the name, but
I don't know.
same girl from
blonde
fucking
girl.
Kick Ass.
this
shit.
list
Yeah.
has Get Out as a horror movie. Is that a horror movie? I didn't think it
Yeah,
was.
kind of. I mean, it's
What is the?
got a sick, twisted premise. You know.
I got you.
What is the movie they just they redid it? I feel like not too long ago. It's like where the couple they have like 2 kids and they go buy an old
Amityville
house.
Horror.
Yeah, they just redid that right
Yeah.
not too long ago.
They did.
I think they've redone it a few times.
That
So they
the
did one with
most recent one.
Ryan Reynolds. Is that the most recent one?
That
Yeah.
one was not. I'm not going to say that it was a scary movie, but that was very suspenseful.
They mentioned the Amityville house in one of the Conjuring movies, didn't they?
Yeah,
It was mentioned in one of the Conjuring movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I maybe
I like
get
the
them-
Conjuring flicks.
Yeah, the Conjuring. I was just about to say
Yeah.
the Conjuring is real good.
I'm not so big on like the spin-offs like Annabelle and stuff like that with the
Yeah.
same characters, but the actual Conjuring movies I'm really
Yeah.
into.
It
I like
wasn't
The
Conjuring 2. That took place in North London.
Oh, really?
Northland. Yeah, that
Conjuring
was,
2. Yeah, that one was a cool one.
so
Yeah, that was-
if you're good with scary movies, do you do like scary like haunted houses and stuff?
Yeah, I will. Usually whenever I go to haunted houses, they're like, because like it seems like most of the time I've ever been to one, there's always like clowns.
Uh-huh.
Everyone always does clowns. So like in order to like cope and make myself feel better, I just end up making like a bunch of like insane clown posse jokes to the fucking clowns.
Oh, really?
I thought you were talking about like actual
I
haunted
took my.
locations.
I like going like to like like haunted house because they get so big around here. They're huge.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to one in a few years, and we went a few years ago. And my wife is the type of person where if she doesn't like something, she'll still try it one time.
Mm-hmm.
You get one time to impress her. If she's not impressed, she ain't doing it again. Which I'm
Yeah, I
on
get
board
that.
with, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
We tried it with camping, fail. She won't ever go camping again. But I talked her into going to a haunted house. We went with some other friends of ours.
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
Bruh.
It's like we got out of the car and she just like had like Target written all over her face. Like there was
Yeah.
like a zombie dude in the most impressive zombie costume I've ever seen. Like just like locally.
Yeah.
And like this guy was like following her around the parking lot and all this shit. But we went through there and I'd like to go again, but she will not go.
Mm-hmm.
She went through the thing and held on to me so tight. But it was good. Like it wasn't scary to me.
Yeah.
Like to me it's more or less like cool.
Yeah, definitely. I dig them. The only thing I don't like about like haunted houses and haunted trails or like the houses is like the use of strobe lights because I don't like strobe lights. Strobe lights fuck with me.
I
So,
can see that.
I'm not epileptic. I don't have seizures, but I just don't like them.
Yeah, they are
you,
creepy.
didn't you go with us to the
Slaughterhouse
when
Horror?
it was still open? Now it's
Yeah.
they've actually merged. I don't know if you knew that. The two they were right across the road from each other. Now
Clayton
it's
Fear Farm or whatever.
no, it was Dark Side.
That's where we were at.
It's Dark Side Haunted Estates, and it's all like one big thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
and,
we should go.
All the people we know are still
I've
involved
never.
with it.
I've only done.
You went with
something
us that
similar.
one year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that one year that we all went, I was freaked out. I don't like getting startled. I don't like it. Period. Don't have any like Jacob. I don't have any mental or maybe I have mental problems. I don't have any health problems that would allow me not to get scared or strobe lights or anything. But I just don't like it. So like, I didn't realize how many people I knew in the woods that had masks on. And like every corner I turned, people's like, "Yo, Jamie, what's up?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
fucking
okay.
totally ruined the fucking mood for me because I
Yeah.
was walking with you.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to be scared, and I was like, Jamie, and I'm like, what the
And
fuck?
then
It's
the
like
one-
going to Walmart.
Yeah, one of the guys we
Going
went with got
anywhere.
the shit scared out of him, and he was running and tripped over a root. on the-
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like I remember that.
We're not going to say his name, but then we come around the corner, and I'd forgotten that my brother-in-law worked there, and he had on a mask. His name's Jason, and so he was Jason, but he had on a mask, and I was like, oh, you know, he was like all creepy to me, and then literally Lane walked by, rubbed his belly, and said, "Hey, Jason." I was like, "Oh, that's cute. You're interacting." She's like, "No, that's my brother." And I was like, how the fuck do you know? She's like, it's his belly. It's just like my dad's. I was like, God, how did you do this?
That's where I took Abigail, was that place. But the Haunted Estates one.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, now it's just a big thing, and
Yeah.
they just built this new crazy like creepy elevator thing.
Oh man,
It feels like
we
you're
should
moving,
go.
but you don't.
Yeah,
actually
I'm-
move.
I want to go to like one of the ones where like if you make it all the way through, you get your money back.
Yeah,
you
I'm
know
down
what?
for that.
I would go to that. I would definitely.
Because I mean,
Make sure I'm vacated before we get
see, the only
there.
thing like that, any way similar I've done to that, I was in King's Dominion where they were doing like their Halloween thing.
Yeah.
One time when I was a kid, it was like me and 4 of my homeboys. And, after it gets dark, the whole park turns into like just this big scare kind of thing.
Yeah.
And me and my homeboys are walking through this tunnel. I mean, we were having fun out there. Like we went behind a little restaurant, smoked something, you know what I mean? And we was walking through like this tunnel, and they had like fogged out like the whole tunnel. Like you can't see as you're going through it, but there's all kinds of people.
Well, y'all did or they
You
did?
fogged it out.
No, we didn't smoke a big killer. Nah, we didn't fog it out, but they fog it out so you can't really see. But there's all kinds of characters in there, actors in there dressed up and shit. And we're making it through, keeping our eyes peeled. And we all walk out, like I said, it's me and like 3 of my homeboys, and they're all big boys, and we're all gangstered up, fucking tall tees, flight jackets, and all this shit. We walk out, and like this one dude just came up on, like he came out the fog and like slid up on us like 20 feet, got right up in us. All of us wearing Tim boots, lifted up our goddamn legs and stomped down. But luckily he saw it in time and fell back a little bit before we damn plummeted his head in. But,
God.
but that's like the closest I've been to any like scare house kind of like thing. So I would love to do that stuff. Sometime.
You know what? I know somebody else that would do it with us too.
Mm-hmm.
Big John would do it in a heartbeat.
I'm down to do it as long as nobody goes in with the attitude, they screw me, I'm going to hit them. They touch me.
Oh,
They're going to touch me.
fuck
And
that.
I'm not going in with that attitude,
Nah.
but I mean I can't control somebody.
It ain't going to be like that. They see thousands of people a day. Like, it's not going to be like that. It's just.
But I'm down. 'Cause I just like the thrill. You know what I mean?
I'd like to just check it out. Something to do.
I think it'd be fun. I
Can we
don't know
drink
if we
beer
have
while we're
any.
doing it.
Dude,
You can drink
maybe.
beer before you go in, I guess. But I don't know if
Get
any.
fucking twisted and
Hellfire.
just skimp back and go the fuck.
I don't know if any
That'd be
places
awesome.
around here do that. They used to do it at Dorothea Dix.
Yeah.
But they don't do it anymore.
If I did something like that, though, I would have to like make sure I go there with only the money that I'm going to use to buy the entry ticket and no credit card or anything. That way, I'm have more of like a incentive to make it through. That's
Yeah.
all the money I have today.
instead of
Yeah,
buying,
because they cost. Those are expensive.
no, yeah, they're like what, like $60 or more,
Yeah.
maybe.
No.
So
I thought they were-
Clayton Fear Farm costs that much. I don't even know why that place is that expensive.
no, that place sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever had any like
Thought it was
real
like $30.
paranormal like experience?
No, I don't mess with that shit.
You know, messing
And we
with
talked about a little bit of it last year.
Yeah, I know you did. I don't know what all stories I covered last year, but
You covered a lot. I remember you. I don't know. I've never had really a paranormal experience.
No, I've always had that feeling of, in certain places I feel like I'm being watched or something.
Yeah.
Always. Like there's,
that's a mental disorder.
is it? All right.
I've drank.
take it.
I've drank so much on Halloween before that I had like out of body experiences.
Oh,
Is it the same thing?
astral projection, I get you.
No, I've never had any. I don't- never.
Yeah, I was watching this fucking this YouTube channel where this guy just like sits around and like tries to explain to you what certain highs are like. So this guy will like do like the premise of the channel is like this guy will like fucking smoke DMT and then like afterwards record a video of him trying to explain what it's like being high on DMT.
Recording videos while you're like fucked up on shit like that is just a bad idea.
He's sober. He's just like, this is exactly what happens. Like you smoke it, and then like you hear like some noise, and then they'll like play like this weird noise. It's like some bell or something.
Oh wow.
And he just talks about like the fucking trip.
I don't
It's
know how
voodoo.
I could do audio hallucinations as much as like visual.
That's a big thing.
I feel like you should, if you're gonna do that, you should like videotape yourself while you're on
You
it.
can't because the whole time you'll be
illegal.
trying to act straight.
I mean, people always love when I tell them about my acid experience, so I guess you can make
Oh,
something
yeah.
off of that.
yeah.
Your acid experience is pretty funny.
I've never heard that. Let's hear it.
You haven't heard it?
Nope.
Well, in case anyone hasn't, though, I have done acid. once or
It
twice.
happened on Halloween, right?
Yeah, it happened on Halloween.
Story fits.
Relevant.
But everyone gets a little experimental bug in them sometimes, and just as the thing came around, like, hey, let's do some acid. I ain't never done no like hallucination type stuff. Marijuana's about the closest, the craziest thing I've ever done. And so we got some acid, from your neighborhood acid dealer. And
Thanks, Jimmy.
I believe his name is Marco.
Marco.
Shouts out Marco.
But got it. It comes in like little tabs or like little pieces of paper and stuff like that. So I got 2 tabs, right? Did 2 tabs. because they say that's the going, the going thing.
Yeah.
Did do tabs, so I'm sitting there, and in the house I was staying at the time, we had this big picture on there that my girlfriend at the time had painted. It was like some real acid trippy kind of picture, like melted crayon and mushrooms and all kinds of shit. And it's been about 30 minutes since I took the hits. I was kind of apprehensive because I'd never done no shit like this before. I didn't want to like fucking, bug out or anything like that. But I'm sitting on the couch looking at TV or something like that, and this picture's hanging on the back of my head, and I'm just sitting there. And something, just happened at the corner of my eye. I'm just, kind of slightly noticing something, but it's not really bugging me. And finally, I'm looking up at this painting, and fucking like, all the colors and shit melted, but everything just kind of had like a wiggle and shit. And I'm seeing like little lizards and shit and all in the fucking paint. I'm just like, oh shit, this shit's going down. You know what I mean? That shit freaked me out. Because when you have like a visual, like shit's not how it's really supposed to be.
Yeah.
For the first time, that shit kind of fucks with your head. That's a real hype ass moment. Like, like damn, this shit can happen.
They say it's all about the attitude you go into it with.
Oh, it is. It's definitely about the attitude you
Yeah.
have. Because like I said, luckily, every time I did it, it was enjoyable. I only did it like 2 or 3 times. But I was having a good time sitting around laughing with some folks, and I have a picture of my grandmother, like a in memoriam kind of picture, like, in loving memory and all that stuff, hanging up on my wall. And I was sitting there having a good time laughing, and my head just happened to turn to that picture of my grandma. And in that split second, I felt like my whole fucking everything inside of me just dropped. Like, oh shit, man, grandma's dead. You know what I mean?
Oh God.
And in that split second, I could feel myself like, going down. Like, damn, man, life's just fuck grandma, man.
Bring the lizards back, damn it.
But then I caught myself. I'm like, oh man, I can't, I can't go down that road right now. So I jumped right back into the party. You know what I mean? But if I'd have stayed there, I could have saved myself, just sitting there sobbing or whatever.
How was it interacting with people like normally?
Oh, it was great. Like I said, it's just, as long as everyone around you is not, because I've tripped, the few times I tripped with, someone who like every time they trip, they're just fucking crying, wigging out, and that's just
lock them in a room.
It's just a buzzkill. But they like that shit. Like, oh yeah, that was a good time. You know what I mean?
What?
Like what?
What? Yeah.
Like I don't get what that shit. Like, so I don't condone drugs or anything like that.
So-
but if you have the chance to do acid once in your life, go for it.
So, okay, an acid trip, is it more of a mental thing or is it like a visual thing?
For me, it's more of a visual thing. It fucks with your, like your like Puckett said, like your state of mind, like the energy you got going on
Right.
inside of you
Yeah.
amplifies that.
Yeah,
Over 9,000. You know
From
what
what I hear, if you go into it like if you're like
if you're scared,
pissy
and,
and scared
yeah.
and shit, you're gonna like fall through the floor and have all kinds of
But
issues.
see, me, I was hyped, laughing. Everything was funny, cool. But like I said, it's the visuals that really got me. Because like I said, me and the girl I was dating at the time, we had painted we had tripped on acid and fucking had like this piece of wood or something. We had like some paint and shit and just mixed all this paint on this fucking board and sat there for like 4 hours looking at it. Like, god damn, bro.
What 4 hours is really like 3 days.
Oh man, I still got a video on my computer of the first time I did acid. It's before I was even really proficient in guitar. I didn't know shit. But I sat on the floor in my room, I know, for 4 hours and just played 3 fucking notes. Do-do-do. For like 4 hours, looking at the fucking ceiling. Like, god damn, bro, this shit. Oh, man, you hear this shit, man? Like, god damn, bro. Like, shit was crazy.
You make me want to do acid really bad. I was at my buddy's house the other day, and he lives like out in the middle of fucking nowhere, like in he lives out in the middle of nowhere, and like in the sky, like it was like one of those moments, like you could see the Milky Way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you could see the galaxy. And I was looking up, and like the longer you would look at the sky, the more stars you would see. You know,
Yeah.
like shit just kind of came out. And I was like, dude, this would be fucking. I'm sure this would be great on
Oh, the
acid.
night sky
Yeah.
on acid?
It seems like everyone.
I've spent a few hours doing that too.
Yeah. Looking at the fucking stars.
Yeah,
and
it's
shit
like
on acid.
fireworks, man.
Yeah.
It's like the whole sky
Apparently
is
it's
fireworks.
awesome.
Yeah.
From what I've been told.
Like I said, I don't condone heavy drug use, but like I said, if you want to get down with some acid if you got the opportunity to take it,
Go check out marcoacid.com. He delivers.
let's do acid and go to a haunted house.
That sounds terrible.
Coupon code Antoine will get you 20% off your first hit.
Groupons, baby.
That's fucking great.
Marcoacid.com.
Have you ever done mushrooms?
No, I never done mushrooms, but I heard it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
More organic. I'd be way more down with that than
I'd
like
probably
doing
be.
acid.
I'd be more down with acid because from what I hear, people who do mushrooms, like it fucks your stomach up. And
I would be more down with acid just because I'm allergic to mushrooms.
Oh yeah. You fucking
I just
swell
feel
up.
like that chemical shit like burns holes in your brain and shit.
Like I said, it's a weird thing. After you do the day after you do acid, it's a sad day. You know what I mean? Like you're coming back, like, damn, man, I gotta fucking go to work. Or some
Reality.
shit. Like, yeah, I mean, it's really like a crash. Like you just feel
It's like meth.
Like, damn, man, I want that experience again because it's an experience. Like I said, drinking alcohol, smoking marijuana, or whatever your forte is. I mean, that's cool and all, but it's nothing like doing.
Oh yeah.
Some hallucinogenic type shit.
Like I've never really done any drugs. The only drugs I've ever done is I smoke weed, and I don't smoke weed. I can't handle the high. Is the high anywhere like weed with acid?
Nah,
not even a little bit.
No, because it's not like it doesn't do anything to your body. You know what I mean? Like you don't feel down or like I don't know if anybody out there has ever smoked weed. You know, you get that feeling in your eye. It depends on I guess what you're smoking, but you know,
whenever I get really high, like shit feels weird to the touch. Like I was talking and I was recalling like I remember one time I was really high and I was sitting in the back of a car and my feet were on the floorboard, but I couldn't feel the floorboard. So I felt like my feet were dangling almost. You know what I mean? Is there anything like that with acid?
No, not really. Like I said, you get more of a hypersensitivity. You know what I mean? Just like I mean, I guess I've never done ecstasy, but you know, they always get the when you talk about ecstasy, you know, people touching themselves and shit like that. It's kind of similar to that. If you know, even though I've never done ecstasy, but just like you know, everything kind of just feels, you know, like you know, good, you know, without lack of a better word.
Just feeling good in the neighborhood. Yeah. Check out marcosacid.com. Yeah. Coupon code Antoine. 20% off your first order.
Thank you.
What do you say, dude? Let's have a Low Brown Nation acid trip, all of us, and then document it.
Oh, God.
I'm down.
Puckett's not down.
Well, just let me trip.
I'll watch.
What video?
Yeah, dude, that sounds like a good idea.
And we won't let you know that
Coming
we're videoing
soon.
it.
Coming soon to the Low Brown Nation.
We'll just strap a GoPro to you.
I mean, I've been wanting to do.
We're gonna make this damn website viral. However, we gotta do
Antoine's Acid Adventures.
AAA.
Check them out on Mondays.
I mean, I want to do it one more time in my life, and I'll do it for views.
Yeah. That's a great idea. It struck gold.
Pay-per-view event.
Yeah.
Struck paper.
YouTube Red.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, I don't know. I've never done anything like that. I've gotten really, really, really drunk.
Never done any crack?
Really, really, really high.
I would almost do crack, dude. Crack seems
Why?
like
what?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like crack seems like a drug I can handle.
What?
Wow.
Because like whenever I smoke weed,
You sound like a crackhead.
No.
Just one time, bro. Just one.
My reason being, like
Gotta
the
get the
thing
rock.
that like I don't like about weed, and the thing that scares me about acid is how long it lasts. You know, because I'll smoke weed and I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm just ready for this to be over.
Just
now.
go do some cocaine.
Acid is like what, like fucking like how long of a trip
It's
usually?
like 8-9 hours,
Right, it's
depending
like-
on how much you do, I guess.
Crack's like 15 minutes, bro. I can do it. See if I like it. if I don't like it, 15 minutes is up. And I don't have to do it again. You know what I mean?
You're
It's just
chasing
all I
that.
Yeah,
gotta
but
get-
then you're like, oh, that wasn't long enough. Let me check it again.
Let
Yeah.
me go spend another 20.
And then all of a sudden it's 16 years later and
I don't understand.
You
why-
don't have any teeth, and you've
You're-
been smoking meth
the
for
front
the
of your
past
nose
5 years.
the front of your nose is falling off.
I'm just saying it's 15 minutes. That's how I can get behind. 15 minutes just to see if I like it.
Just do some cocaine.
It's like a fucking like you know.
Yeah, I heard cocaine's the same way. It's very
It's
quick.
very quick.
Well, I mean, they're like the same thing.
Is cocaine really quick? Because I kind of want to do cocaine too.
I'm glad you're letting the internet know.
I hear you could
I've
do.
never done it. I'm not incriminating myself. I'm just saying I'm interested in it.
I hear like cocaine, you can drink all goddamn night. If you
I heard
want to.
cocaine
yeah,
was
you can pound beers on
That's what they
cocaine.
say.
I heard
from
cocaine
multiple
was a hell of a
people.
drug.
I've heard from multiple people.
Don't smoke crack.
I heard cocaine was the one drug that was so great they never want to do it again. Because they
Yeah.
had such a good time and they could see it getting really out of hand.
I hear people that have done like meth and shit talk about meth like it was terrible, but they kept doing it.
Yeah, because it's so
Like no one
addictive.
seems to like. If you ever talk to anyone who like smokes meth, they don't ever seem like they enjoy it.
Yeah, they're all like, while they're smoking it, they're like, this fucking sucked.
I knew this broad one time, like I said, not by like common association. I just happened to meet her. And she was like, yeah, I just love that fucking burnt plastic taste. It just fucking.
Do what?
Like, what?
It's a connoisseur, man. It's
Yeah, like. I
an
don't
acquired
get it.
taste. It's like an IPA.
No.
Oh, God. Fuck that,
Your
too.
teeth fall out. and
I mean, when
shit.
you're out here in the country, you meet a few tweakers. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
A few.
There's very
True
few things I
story.
love enough to sacrifice my teeth for, so meth must be awesome. But it seems like it seems like everyone that I've talked to that have done it they just talk like it's just fucking the worst experience. Like they're just fucking super like paranoid and just like itchy.
No, I don't know why they do it. I think they do it like they start selling it.
I feel like
That's the thing. I
Halloween.
thought they make some money.
This time of year is like that year or that time of year. Like people start doing crazy
You
shit like
fucking
that.
heard about that Flocka?
Oh, yeah. I've
Oh,
heard
Have you
yeah.
about it.
seen
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fucking
that's a big
videos
thing.
of people like reacting on that shit?
Oh, yeah, that shit
Nah.
looks
They
crazy.
What is it?
turn into like fucking like they look like they're possessed by like Pazuzu, dude. They're fucking like
Pazuzu.
What's Pazuzu?
it's a fucking
Flockas, that's
demon.
the shit where you eat people.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
shit that was
Like
in
bath
Florida.
salts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been going on for like a long time, but like it's just now getting out.
Yeah, dude. If you guys or anyone listening have never like fucking seen like people like reacting, like people on Flocka, like there's videos on YouTube of people like on Flocka and like freaking the fuck out. It's fucking terrifying. Like this is people like walk with like their fucking like backs bent, like they're like looks like they're fucking literally possessed.
Possessed,
Like,
Yeah, it does.
yeah.
So here's the question:
Just speaking inaudible.
you can look that shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does your buddy tell you to get you to do? Because
I
somebody's
mean,
talking
that's
you into it.
nowadays. Anyway, I think if any kid's getting hooked up in some hard ass drug shit, like how ignorant you got to be. You got all the
That's what I
information.
mean. Like you know,
Like I
like you
said,
saw
yeah.
you saw your friend do it
Yeah.
and act like a dumbass, or you see your other friends on fucking meth and their teeth are falling out. Like, what makes you want to do that?
Like,
That's what-
I can get like back in the 80s when like certain drugs were coming out and then like it was a new thing. And
Well, you
people-
couldn't share that shit on YouTube
Yeah,
or
and they're-
Facebook.
yeah.
But
you
now
just-
it kills me, man. 'Cause thinking about some of the people I went to high school with, and some, I'm not saying all of them, but I know some of them now have gotten wrapped up in drug addiction, and it's like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, you see what it does.
Yeah, dumbass.
But I mean, a lot of them are even this even goes even deeper. A lot of people like that are products of their surroundings.
Yeah.
So even if you grow up in it, you see what it does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I guess it's on people's mindset because I grew up around drugs and
Yeah.
things like that, and I always grew up with the attitude like, I don't want no parts of that shit.
yep.
Same.
I mean, like if somebody's sitting there trying to give you a crack rock, like,
I got offered a
are
crack
you
rock
not
one time.
fucking looking at this motherfucker and be like, you don't have any teeth?
I
Like,
was
what the
I was
fuck?
like I was 11 or 12 years old, and quite honestly, if the shit would have went down differently, I might have been a crackhead. But I was like 11, 12 years old. I was hanging out with some friends of mine. And,
Oh.
we went over to like their aunt or uncle's house, their aunt's house, and she had like a young crackhead boyfriend.
Is this the alien story?
Is that the alien story? Is there an alien story? No, this is. I know what you're talking about. But no, we went over there. I was hanging out. Like, this is the first time I was hanging out with some, of my good friends. And we were all hanging out. Like, I was a kid. I knew nothing about drugs or anything like that. And fucking, we were hanging out over there, and like the dude just broke out like a crack pipe. And fucking, he fucking, he offered it to my homeboys, and they said no. And, offered it to me, and I said no because they said no. You know what I mean? If they'd have said yes, I might have said yes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, peer pressure's a bitch.
And
man.
like I said,
Like,
I was
if
ignorant at the
your- if your
time.
bros are doing.
So you're
I'm
just like,
good.
if they're saying no to this, I shouldn't fuck with it.
Yeah,
that
that's-
was like your mentality.
Yeah.
I
But if
mean,
they said yes, you'd have been like,
Because
oh,
they, I
it must
mean,
be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, I'm glad they said no.
Yeah, me too. Like I said.
man, this podcast really took a.
No, this is relevant. The horrors of drug addiction.
Yeah.
took
Right.
a-
And it's just the time
took
of
a
year.
hard
People's
turn.
Yeah, I mean, winter's
mean,
coming.
A hard white turn.
Winter is coming.
you gotta
Uh,
you gotta.
Didn't
find-
winter come?
I don't know, man. That's a different porn I haven't seen yet.
Oh man. All right. Well.
All right.
We'll save the alien story for next week.
Oh yeah. Next week on the Low Brown Nation podcast, we're going to talk about aliens.
man, alien.
And make sure you check out lowbrownnation.com.
Hell yeah.
We update it daily.
the only place on the internet
The only place on the internet.
for the only podcast on the internet.
For the only podcast on the internet. Have a wonderful week.
Later, guys.
Y'all too. Bye bye.